Guys, welcome back to another episode of SynergyTalks. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what made us want to get into dental and what the path was kind of getting into dental. And the truth is, when you really think about it, who even knew the dental lab actually existed before we were in the business?
Yeah.
So Milos, one of the things is, and I ask myself all the time, I ask myself this, but what made you get into the dental business?
Ooh, where do we start? Let's see. So my father was a dentist. He's retired now. He's been a dentist for about 30 years. My aunt, his sister, also a dentist. And, we grew up in Eastern Europe and, things were a little iffy. The country was going through some hurdles. I was going to stay, actually, and go to dental school.
Oh, wow.
And we decided, it would be probably best if I left. If you don't know, Eastern Europe has gone through some Balkan wars. So there were the Croatian, Bosnian, Kosovo war. So a lot of turmoil. So all that happened. I finished my dental tech school, and I decided to come to the United States. What really was a focus for me is that while I was in dental tech high school, I really developed a love for sculpting things. So we used to do everything by hand. So today you see that we use a lot of computers, a lot of mills and everything, but I was always computer savvy. Quick anecdote, from 18th birthday, it's a custom in Eastern Europe for all the men to get a golden chain. So when it was my birthday, my dad's like, so when are we getting your golden chain? I said, I'll get a computer. So
you forego the chain for computers.
I forego the chain to get a computer. And so I was into computers. And then we studied dental technology in a very traditional way. We used to carve things out of blocks of wax. We used to set everything by hand, cast everything manually. So when I came to the United States and we really started to integrate digital technology into dental, like it was a dream come true for me, because it was like, right? Everything I like about computers and everything I like about sculpting teeth kind of came together.
Yep.
And then from that point on, I always had a passion for like problem solving, as you know, because you throw a lot of things my way that cannot be solved. You
can always solve it. He just pretends like it's going to be hard.
Yeah. I tend to, dig my heels in and figure out how things can be done, how things can be fixed, they can be reinvented, which we've tried to do with some of our product lines like removable partial dentures, a lot of our implant restorative workflow. And so to this day, it's still valuable for me, and I still have that passion for being able to see the result of our work through how the patients react to the work and what we're actually able to produce, and also to fully express sort of like the artistic side of dental technology, which is still needed, right, to be able to express those aesthetics and the function that the patient needs, and kind of to bring all that together. So that was really the passion for me that kind of started. We were very competitive in Europe. Our dental tech school was competing with another dental tech school from another town. Then from another town, we used to get these competitions and get together, and the best dental technician would like win prizes.
Very cool.
Loaf of bread. Just kidding.
It's actually pretty impressive on when you look at the educational system and how early you guys get started. Very I think early. Right in deciphering if this is the career you want to go to, which I almost wish, and I think with my daughters in high school now, our district at least is getting a little bit better at stimulating their mind for what the future looks like. But it's crazy because I could tell you, going to school here, I went through most of my education not knowing what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And it's reflecting on. Sorry to cut you off. It's reflecting off on how the schools are actually developing in the States.
Yeah.
Many dental schools had closed. And so this really creates a problem for us to be able to have a pool of available candidates to fill in all these jobs, whether they're designers, manufacturing, all kinds of dental technology jobs, because schools have either consolidated or just closed.
Yeah.
So there's very few of them available. I went to one, which is New York City College of Technology in Brooklyn. I was there for 3 years. I believe there's another one in Buffalo. There's one in Texas, in California. A lot of them are not like college degrees. A lot of them are just like 6-month or 1-year courses, certificate style.
Certification.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Ours was more legit because through our program, you can become a certified dental technician through NBC in Florida, and then you attend a lot of symposiums. You create a lot of connections with really important players in the industry. But yeah, when I came over, a lot of what we learned in Europe, which was very traditional analog style, it was very beneficial for me here. And I excelled in school. I was way ahead of where the other students were. Not that I'm particularly intelligent, but it's just being exposed to that education system over there was really good. So whenever I do things here, I always do it from like 2 points of view, which is the traditionalist and the American way of production, streamlining, efficiencies, and things like that. So,
100%.
what about you? What is it in dental that kind of grabs you and doesn't let you go?
So much like I was saying is that I went through school a majority of my life not knowing what I was going to do. And at the same time, not knowing that there was another world outside the dental office, right? You go to the dentist as a child and you get your cleanings and you see, your parents that needed possibly a partial or an implant or a denture. They would say, come back in a few weeks and you get your restorative, never thinking about that secondary portion of it. So I went through school. After school, I opened a business that had nothing to do with dental. But at that time, I realized that I had a good understanding of sales and market trends and understanding what the market liked and what the market didn't. And along that endeavor, I had a family member that was in product sales, head up executive for a distribution company, and they gave me an opportunity. And I, not knowing anything about what I was selling, I started selling. And I was selling materials started with orthodontics and then went into dental lab supply. And I think my biggest excitement is when digital hit. And the crazy thing is, as a child, having two parents that work for IBM and not being too into computers, I was like, well, it's easier just to write it. What do we got to type it for, right? Or I gotta type without looking at the keyboard. Use two hands, not finger the keyboard with single fingers. But as time went on, it intrigued me on how you could create mass production, more consistency, better quality by properly integrating digital technology. And the industry was scared of it, extremely scared of it. But knowing that if we did it right, we could do it, right? So from our last podcast, if you're just joining us for the first time this time, we talked about, how we got in the industry and, only producing a laboratory that produced stuff digitally. But I wanted it to do more, and I was probably ahead of my time in trying to get practitioners more engaged with intraoral scanning, more engaged with chairside milling. And I know specifically for our other lab partners out there, sometimes that's a scary thought that the practice could do some manufacturing themselves. But I'm all about...
Is that the main fear? Is that always the main fear, that you thought that they're going to move manufacturing in office and the lab is going to use that revenue?
Right.
Or was there more?
In my opinion, that's our brick and mortar, right? Your single unit restorative is your biggest restorative that comes through the door. So you're saying, if I give that up and a practitioner can do that in-house, what's next? But I'm all about finding solutions, right? This is the entrepreneur side of me. It's the business side of me, and seeing that there is enough revenue, right? We still today, I would say, and don't quote me on the statistic, I think about 70% of our restorative still gets manufactured out of the United States. The realization is that if we needed to bring everything back here to the U.S., we don't have the manpower or the skill set to do everything here either way. But as we could tell from Synergy 3D, right, our manufacturing facility, by incorporating digital technology appropriately, not only can we produce mass productivity in a faster, quicker restorative, but we get more consistency. So I think the lab owners, especially the multiple generation owners, were scared to give that business up, but not realizing by putting single unit restorative or maybe some sort of printing in the office, you're freeing your technician up, which is already possibly maxed out, whether it's a machine or a technician, to do the higher profitable dollar restoratives.
I think it was that. I think it was also the fact that you had 40, 50 years of doing things one way.
100%.
And then within a year or two, having to use keyboard and a mouse to express all this experience you've had over the years. And I think it's very scary, especially to maybe some older technicians, but even for younger technicians who are already kind of halfway throughout their career, that would be really scary for them, because it was really a period of stagnation. If you want to cut, PFMs, gold, that was the standard for a very long time. And when we say gold, you can look back to ancient Egypt and find gold fillings and like traditional fillings and stuff that they used back then. Okay. So really, the lost wax casting technique was the main way. The lost wax casting technique was the main way of producing dental restorations. Yep. And then the secondary was the acrylic dentures. Those were the two staples. Mm-hmm. And then you show up, the industry shows up with, oh, you have CAD software to design everything now, and you have a milling machine, you have a 3D printer. I think that was also like a very scary thought. But I think not a lot of them, but a good number of them have adjusted because they had to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at our industry as a whole, right, and on the lab side of it, I don't think there's many labs out there today that doesn't have some type of digital technology in it. I also do think that you're going to see a mass consolidation, which is kind of happening now as well too, because as DSOs or large group practices start to grow more, unfortunately, that mom and pop laboratory is going to have a harder time keeping up or having the opportunity.
That trend.
Right. 100%. So by digitizing, so in seeing all that and kind of predicting where this industry is going, that's why I doubled down on the lab business. If you ask me, am I a technician? No, as we said before from our lab episode, I am a entrepreneur. I'm the business side of it. I understand practice management, the material side of it, distribution, and it's all about utilizing digital technology through skill sets of your knowledge and the rest of the team of producing that consistent quality product. So the thing that excites me the most about the industry is new age products, right? And we've done tons of R&D. We've done R&D with new scanners out of different parts of the world, which we found pretty aggressive scanners. My thought was we had to make intraoral scanning affordable. That $65,000, $120,000 unit, whether it was a scanner in a mill in an office. I just felt that was a harder grasp for the practitioner to stomach. But now, as we can see, right, you have scanners that sell as affordable as $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
When it comes to printing and milling, it's not going to be for every practitioner, I don't think. In due time, I think you're going to see more and more of it as AI evolves. But as a lab owner and entrepreneur, it's just figuring out how do we stay relevant in the industry.
I'm excited to see where everything's going to go. Like my next thing will be the evolution of intraoral scanning to get it to a level where it's ironclad, rock solid, reliable. That would be the only way of gathering data.
Right.
And even some hybrid system where you can have an intraoral scanner, you run it, then take it extraorally and turn it into a facial scanner.
Absolutely.
So with one machine, you can
everything.
capture everything.
Right.
That would be one thing I'd like to see. That would make our life so much easier in terms of we would have amazing data. And then the second thing I would like to see is the engineering of new materials. So the material science improving to a point where we can 3D print long-term permanent materials. Because right now there are some materials that are sort of long-term temporary, permanent only for a few select teeth, not really for large cases. And printing, I think, is really the way to go because we've already maxed out what we can do with milling machines, 100%. Right? The axis of the mills, the size of the burrs, we already maxed that out and we took full advantage of that technology because we had, 15 years to play with it? But really, if 3D printing material science comes to a point where you can 3D print some sort of nano ceramic particle compound that can be strong enough to withstand producing full large zirconia hybrid or a denture, sort of like a uniform material, and then being able to execute that's really going to change. So I think that's going to be the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, we've started seeing it a little bit, not to go into 100% detail, but we've beta tested a zirconia printing solution. Unfortunately, it reminds me of where zirconia was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The fitment of the restorative as a single unit restorative is there. The aesthetics is like 15-year-old zirconia, very opaque. It needs a lot of staining. So I think as that gets better, you're going to see more of it. And like you said, you have less waste, right? So less waste is more profitability for the laboratory as well, too. I think as we evolve, right, our next couple episodes, we're going to be talking, I think, more into, I think the next two will probably be intraoral scanning and milling, because we feel that we've really found solutions in those categories that make, with intraoral scanning, the practitioner more adaptive to it because of the ease of scanning as well as the affordability of scanning, and then milling being able to create a consistent quality restorative. What happens is when we look at milling machines, right, and we've been working with them for 15 plus years, although milling has been out for many, many years, it's new. It was newer in the dental industry. Is how do you achieve that good interproximal aesthetics, and things like that. So that's definitely more stuff we're going to talk about, which will be more driven for laboratories, but also for practitioners. There is practitioners out there that are starting to build little mini laboratories within their facility. I could tell you, we do a lot of business in the southeast of the East Coast. So, for instance, like Florida, I would say probably right now where we sit, 3 to 4 out of 5 dental offices are opening with some type of laboratory solution. And how does the laboratory stay relevant as that's happening? And that's definitely another episode we're going to be talking about, in our opinion, of how you could capitalize on that and be an added value, right?
I think we should, like you said, we should open with intraoral scanning in the upcoming episode, so that kind of we can take everything from the beginning, from that very first moment the data gets captured.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about how to do it, what are the major problems with it, what are the limitations, what are the benefits, how to make the most out of it, different types of systems, and then how to do it right, how to do it wrong. And then from that point on, then we can branch out into, well, if you scan for a denture, then you're going to talk about digital dentures or for crowns or for partials. So I think that's a good idea. So what about the future of like the dental industry itself, meaning from the practitioner side? What would you like to see? And what is it there that you find exciting maybe for the future with the new upcoming dentists and the way the DSOs or the practices are forming now?
Yeah, so I think the most thing we focus on, or what I find exciting, is speed, right? With Amazon changing the game, right? So when you look at how the world has evolved over just the past 5 years, right? Amazon first came out and we would say, why do I want to order online? I could just run to the store and grab it. And we'd go on Amazon because we were looking for the cheapest price, and Amazon was very price cautious, right? It was very affordable. Said, okay, I'll just buy. I'll wait the extra day. And then as time evolved, now we catch ourselves, I assume, not even looking at the price.
Day.
Right, next day, same day, right?
Same day.
In some states, they get it within a couple hours.
Yeah.
So the human is getting accustomed to, I want it now. I want to see it now. I want ease of use and customary. So I think as we scale, practitioners are not going to be as open to waiting that long term. They're not going to be accustomed to saying, hey, 7 to 10 days is acceptable. We want to see our product in 3 to 5 days. And as we evolved and as we've proven through our infrastructure here at Synergy, we can produce a product in 24 to 48 hours. Our average restorative goes in 3 to 5 days. And as we digitize, our goal is, and what I find exciting, is to speed that up. And then by speeding it up, hopefully doing it with utilizing digital technology as we've been doing, so we don't have to continuously add a mass amount of technicians to the infrastructure as well, too.
I think the key word is also quality, right? You want to maintain 100%. Quality. So a big misconception is, well, if it takes 2 weeks to produce it, but now you're doing it in 5 days, you're going to reduce the quality of what you're doing. That would be true, except when we took on this challenge, the idea was maintain the same, if not better quality, while reducing the production time. So that was the goal. Absolutely. And because if we're going to lower the quality and just get it to you quicker, it's useless. It doesn't serve anybody. 100%. It doesn't help the patient, doesn't help the dentist, definitely not us, because we're already operating in lower margin space. So the idea was that to make it as effective, as streamlined as possible by, setting definitive protocols for design, definitive protocols for milling. But in order to get those protocols, you have to do a lot of R&D, a lot of 100%. Testing. Once you test everything's set. Okay, great. So that's it for today. I think we just wanted to kind of give you a little heads up of what is our passion, where do we want to see this industry going, how do we get into this industry, and on the next episode, I think we're gonna start opening with some practical, technical aspects of intraoral scanning, so that whether you're just somebody who doesn't know anything about dentistry or you're a dentist or a technician, we're going to do it start to finish.
100%.
Everything you wanted to know about intraoral scanning, but you were afraid to ask or had no one to ask.
100%. And as you guys see more and more of these episodes, definitely, like I said, comment below and tell us, hey, listen, we like this category or this topic. I mean, we think about it in this past 15 plus minutes, we've covered quite a bit about the industry pretty quickly. So I'm sure there's topics saying, oh, you kind of touched on that. We'd love to hear more about it. Definitely let us know. We want to leave this open-ended where we're 100% engaged with you guys in making sure we're giving you as much data as possible and what worked and didn't work for us. And we'll go through it. And with the intraoral scanning part of it, we won't just be relating to what laboratories should be thinking about as they're referring intraoral scanning, but also practitioners as they're deciding to invest in intraoral scanning. And then even the patient. It was a time when you used to go to a practice that they only took film x-rays, right? Now it's few and far between that 99, I think, % of practitioners have a digital x-ray, and it's a custom. It's easy to use. It links up. They're not calling anymore saying, hey, I can't get my scanner to connect to my computer, and intraoral scanning is going that way. I think we're probably at about a 60, maybe 70% with practitioners having some type of intraoral scanner in the office. Whether they utilize it or not is a whole different story. I could tell you at Synergy 3D, we probably see about 98% of our restorative digital today. Not just because that's what we're proficient in, but because we encourage and incentivize our partners to digitize as fast as possible by creating that consistent quality, faster restorative by digitizing their workflow. So they get their product back faster, they're more profitable, and we all grow together.
Great. So join us next Friday where we will go over intraoral scanning. And if you know anybody who wants to learn about dentistry, know people who are already involved in dentistry, let them know that this podcast exists and where we can all gather together and learn all this cool stuff. So until then, we're going to see you next week.
And absolutely, don't forget to share, tag, like, and let's get some more views on this for sure. Thank you guys, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good day.